I do record all the classes. How this works, you guys will go to UJA, and that will let you see it. It's not there yet, but just to kind of give you a little taste of how it works, you'll see there's nothing here yet. Sorry, it's so slow. But this is how it works. I'll show you with my anatomy and physiology class. So when you go into UJA and click on it, you will see a set of recordings, and these are so let's say you go into this and you want to watch the class. You click on it. You can pause, you can move, you can scroll. So you can watch anything I do. You'll be able to see me as well. A little bit of what I draw on the board you'll be able to see. And for example, let's say I'm on the notes here, and let's say this is, I didn't get that slide. You can actually go and find the slide even that you need clarification on and rewatch it. The closed captioning is absolutely awful, so I wouldn't rely on that very much. You can even do things like speed me up. That is absolutely hilarious.
Nice. Okay, so Frank goes to stop. All right,
so you can do all kinds of things with it. If you want to see this bigger, you can switch. If you want to see me more, I actually have a deaf student in this class. And there's a sign language interpreter in there, so it's pretty funny that you can watch and change. But it's pretty funny you can change and speed up. I sound like a chipmunk sometimes. All right. So I just wanted to show you how that works a little bit in case you've never used it or you don't have professors that use it. I'll go ahead and shut the door so somebody doesn't have to hear me. My voice carries. I'm loud. Okay. So anyway, real quick, I want to try to go just very brief over a few things. I wanted to record from the addendum. We're having some problems. I teach an intro biology class for the prison system, and we're having some problems with the system, and I meet with them today, so hopefully I can clarify it, but I've been dealing with that problem, and it's constant issues that it has to do with their firewall, so I got way too many things going on right now, I feel like, but anyway, I really want to hit just a few high points for the syllabus and talk about a few things. By the way, for those that are in my lab that met on Tuesday, and I had to be gone, it was I didn't know I was going to be sent home early, but I did get sent home. I got back here about 12. Jury selection was kind of slow, but we had a lot of potential jurors for the pool, and I got sent home because the plaintiff was a student I had. So I got sent home. But anyway, for that lab, just a few basic things. For the lab manual, it is not due to me until the lab midterm. And that's labs 1 through 6. I take it up at the midterm. I normally address that. I know Mr. Mullins didn't know my policies. That's how I do it. So anyway, I want to address that specifically so you guys know. And that'll be the same for the lab that meets after this lecture. I have the other half of you guys. There's only like 4 or 5 of you in there. It's a small lab. The other lab's pretty big. I do want to go really quick. This is for science majors. It isn't just biology majors. Really professionals, science majors, a variety of students take general biology. That includes psychology majors, a few other people, and also can be taken as a gen ed science. For some people, you can take this. This is the only honors biology that is offered. There's honors A&P, there's honors micro. We don't have honors intro. So for people looking for honors credit for natural science and biology, some of those students could take biology 1010, but we don't have honors 1010. Anyway, it is a 4 credit hour course in science. Ours are 4 credits. Here's the basic stuff, but if you are a biology major and minor, you absolutely have to have this class, and a variety of other people. One of the things is one of the main reasons we recommend psych majors take it is most psych people need to have a master's degree to do their job. So that's kind of required. This is a prerequisite for a lot of upper division stuff, especially graduate level work. So that's why you're in here. The learning outcomes. These, at the end of the semester, there's an exam you'll take called a Common Departmental Final Exam that I write and give. And I help write it. I actually the one to put it together, but all of us write it. So you'll see that exam at the end of the semester. And the reason we do it is every question is linked to these objectives. So that's why it's out there. I don't sit and read. There are no prereqs that are required other than learning support, math, reading, and writing. All your learning supports or entrance scores have to be good enough. Let me get my bag out of your way there.
That's fine.
I use this a lot. I just spread out. All right, that's fine. Co-requisites, there are none. The textbook is only recommended. If you've ever had me for a class before, you'll know you don't need a textbook. I provide my PowerPoints. They are very detailed in terms of what I want. So that is all you really need is my notes. So I would go ahead and say you don't need a book. If you bought one, go ahead and return it. The only reason you would need it is maybe down the line. ETSU uses a different version of the book. They don't use the exact same book we use. I think our book is better than the one they're using now, personally. So, but they use a little bit different book. This is the one that we're using. If you do want it, the lab manual is on D2L. If you guys go on my D2L page, you will see the lab manual posted. And that lab manual is set up for to be printed. There's a few ways you can do it. One way is print it yourself. Sometimes it's more cost effective to bind it. If you have me for lab today, recommend at least print lab 1 out and come with it. That's usually what I would have told you guys on Tuesday. I always tell them at least bring lab 1, and then you can decide. A lot of my students, they'll actually go. I think I have. I don't have the exact one, but this is actually something for my prison students. I found these, but you can actually go and get books like a lab manual bound like this at like FedEx, Kinko's and stuff for about $30, and that in some cases may be cheaper than the cost of ink and paper for some people, and you can get it bound. And like I said, I take it up at midterm and final, so that you have your lab manual on you. That's the only time I take it up. I actually have this. This is for my prisoners. I made a special bound version of the notes and sent it to them so they can have it in their prison cells. The library does have things in it. We have a textbook there, a few other sources that you can use for the class, things and other help. The library is a great resource. Definitely use it. I like to explain. I like to draw things out. Go to explain things. There's a lot of things that can be used in a class, things like that. And then there'll be stuff we'll do for honors, and I'll talk about that. The other big thing I really need to talk about is how we get our grades. I am required to give at least 3 exams and a final. Those are required, and then quizzes. Now, these are required grades that I have no say in. I have to give at least 3 exams, a comprehensive final, and I'm required to give quizzes. Then I have mine that I do. Now, here's what I did. I did an extra exam. And why I did an extra exam, that's less chapters per test. So that my exams are just 4 chapters each for this course. Now, that's a little bit different than my A&P. My A&P classes are 3-chapter tests, usually, with some exceptions for some exams, depending on how it goes. My first exam is actually only 2 chapters in A&P. Then your lab is 200 points. It's an 800-point class, total 800 points. But I have this 100 that's up to me. And I decided an extra exam would be better. Now, there are things I'm thinking about doing in the future, but I have this outlined in my addendum. Now, just a few other things. I do replacement points. There's a couple things I do for replacement points, many options. One of these options will actually be it's a thing I do. That exam happens right around Halloween in the fall. And we deal with thermodynamics in there. We talk about the 3 laws of thermodynamics. And what I like to do is I have my students think about the 3 laws of thermodynamics. And it's a little, so at Halloween, I have them pick, if they happen to like zombies, I have them pick their favorite zombies and determine could those zombies actually exist using the laws of thermodynamics. It would definitely apply to the living dead. Now, I play fast and loose with the definition of zombie, but now you don't have to do it. You may be like, I don't give a hoot about zombies. But I like to have fun with it sometimes. But if you are a fan of zombies, you can determine whether or not those zombies could exist. That could be like The Walking Dead or anything like that. It's still going till it's ending. I can't believe it went that long sometimes. There's movies, there's video game zombies, like The Last of Us, things like that. That's caused by cordyceps fungi. Girl with All the Gifts. That was a great movie that came out not too long ago that dealt with cordyceps fungi causing zombies. Cordyceps is freaky deaky. It's crazy. It basically causes zombies. Zombie ants and other bugs. It basically rewrites your brain and makes you more likely to spread the fungus to your relatives, and it's crazy. But I'm only allowed 5 extra points, and that's how I do it. Now, I also do like an extra genetics problem that I give, and there might be some other things that I decide that I play fast and loose with, and I get inspired to do something, and I say, hey, here's another option. For example, I may come up with something interesting like the zombie thing, and just get interested and say, hey, I'll give another option if you want to do it. So I usually give more than one chance, but it's only 1 5. That's all the department allows. And I have to go with the syllabus. I have to follow the syllabus to the letter. Makeup test. There's only 1 allowed. Now, here's the deal. I decided to keep my test online. And why I do this is, instead of when I'm doing the test, on the day of the test, instead of actually giving a test in class, we'll review. And that really, my students loved it. I did have a few rare students who be like, I just didn't like taking my tests online. I hated it when I was during COVID now, and I don't like it now. But most of my students responded very well. And the majority of students said, I love that we always got to review for every test. And I think so I'm going to go with most students. Most of my students like the review sessions. And they said, don't quit that. We loved it. That's really helpful. Lab, basically, you have to have a new lab manual. If you are somehow repeating general biology, you'll need a new lab manual. Bring it with you. Here's the other big thing that I want to talk about, how you get your points. Basically, everything I do, every quiz, every test, everything is points that you earn. And those points at the end of the semester are added together. And if those points are added together, that will give you a number. That number will be somewhere between these 2 numbers. And generally speaking, in honors, it's usually a lot of A's and B's. For example, the departmental final were 1120. I would get people 1120 classes that I would see come from other professors, 50 averages for a class. The average for honors was 95. It was a 95 average, an A average. And the lowest grade was a B. Everybody made A's and B's. And everybody was just like, I was like, no, they're honors. Honors is always the best. They always are. So I was like, but this is basically how I do it. If your points lie between these numbers, you get an A. Between those numbers, you get a B. Between those numbers, you get a C. And that's how I do your grade. I also do look at percentages. I will actually look at both. They should be identical, but I do look at the percentages as well. to C. But 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, and anything below 59.99 is an F. And now, if you do fail lab, you do fail the course. And that has to do, I've actually never had a general biology student fail lab. They may have not done great, but I've never had anybody fail the lab. They may not have done fantastic. Now, it's not like A&P. A&P? Gosh, that lab kills them sometimes. But this is a different ballgame. So, I don't read everything else, but these are all the chapters we do. There's actually 16. You'll notice there's no chapter 11. I wish we did. I've often thought, if I could squeeze it in, I would squeeze chapter 11 in there. It's fun. It's cell signaling. It's fun, but I don't have time. So I follow that. I don't read all this stuff right now. It just basically says, hey, I'm in charge of the classroom. It's my job to keep an environment you can learn in. Don't cheat. It's not worth it. It goes on your permanent record. Don't do it. If you have a disability, bring your accommodation letter. Give me it. You can email it to me. I'll print it off and keep it. You will be accommodated. But I can't do anything without it. That's the rules. No children on campus. You're expected to attend 70% of class, our new attendance policy. That's actually, the former administration set that up. That was changes from the Trump administration to federal financial aid regulations. So that 70% must be attended. The emergency evacuation. If we're in this building and they make us evacuate to a safe zone, we leave, we go out this door. Our first best route is to the left and go out that way. If for some reason we can't, we'll make a right and we'll go out the door that's down there in front of the science office. Then we have to go towards where the tennis courts are. If you don't know where the tennis courts are, it's behind the nice tech building. There are tennis courts and basketball courts, and you guys can come on campus and use them. It's well lit, great, use it. If you don't use it and you like to play tennis or you like to shoot basketball, come and play some basketball down here. It's a good place to do it while you're off, while you have some downtime on campus. Technology. These are just some basic things that we ask that your technology can do. Be able to get on Wi-Fi, be able to get on D2L, because I do my tests and quizzes on D2L. I've been doing it. My students loved it. My honors loved it. They said, don't get rid of that. They loved that every time I got to review instead of giving a test, and they could take their test online. And it also meant you had at least a 2-day period to take a test. At least if you had 2 days to take a test, that gives you at least an extra day to study. And they loved that too, because they said, hey, I get 1 extra day to study. Great. Your device needs to have a camera. Now, you can take your quizzes and tests on an iPad. I do set that. But those are required. Other things, it's great, but hey, devices are great. I know I can't stop people from texting. There is no way I can stop people from texting. It's impossible. It's impossible to me keeping you off your social medias. I know you guys are going to be on Snapchat and you're going to be doing things and whatever. That's fine. I can't stop you. My office is, so I'm Mr. Lefford. My office is upstairs, P204E, same floor as the lab, down the hall. I've been in there for a while. My office number, 354-5191, will call me directly. This is another email for me. Please feel free to email me there too. Do check both emails. D2L can really stack up. I'm getting about, every time I'm in class, I'll come in, I'll have about 15 emails waiting on me. Because I'm in class straight on to 5 o'clock today. Well, no, I'm in straight on till 4 o'clock today. And then I have 4 to 5 office hours. So it'll be after 4 before I can even look. I'm in class straight on to 4 o'clock, straight through to 4 today. I won't get a break. The office hours, they are posted on D2L. They're right here. I do a mix of office hours that are in person and virtual. If it's virtual, it has virtual next to it and has a link for Zoom. So those are usually later in the afternoon for my online classes, because I do have one online class, one class at the prison, one class, and then all my other classes are here. You can come to see me during these times, but these are only ones. The rest of my times that are in my office are usually dedicated to other things that I have to set. So these are actually the only times that I have for like one-on-one student help. Now, Fridays, you can come and find me to ask me questions. From 9 to 11, I'm on the top floor of the library doing A&P study group. So you'll see these around campus, and that's where I'll be every Friday morning from 9 to 11. You feel free to come by and ask me questions. So, actually, my last tutor that I had, that's actually how she started. She came to ask me a question during study group, and she just started staying there, and so she could ask me questions. And then she took me for A&P, and she became my tutor, started tutoring my general biology students. And now my current tutor that I'm supposed to have, who isn't finalized yet, she can only tutor A&P. She doesn't tutor general biology. She hasn't taken it yet. So I don't have a gen bio tutor right now. I'll know my exams, and when I know them, I'll post them here. And then this is just some basic information here. But that's my office hours. A few other basic things. 70% of class must be attended. Makeup exam. I'd like for you to email me. If you have to miss a test, email me. I want you to take it within the week. Now, it is possible that you may not be able to. I understand. It is possible. You could be in the hospital and you can't take a test. That I'll work with you. That's never like, but I always want an email. Why do I want an email? I want paper trail. Because if for some reason, let's say that you felt like I was giving you the runaround and you needed to take legal action, emails can be subpoenaed, and we would have that paper trail that said, okay, and they can say, it's obviously he just forgot. He wasn't being negligent. I'm teaching 19 credit hours this semester. I am busy. I try my best, but I will drop the ball sometimes on things like that. The good news is your tests are online. So I just have to set it online, and we don't have to worry about my schedule at all. So that's good. That's another reason why I do my tests online. It makes makeup testing so much easier for me to do, because my gosh, I'm always on an overload. And I teach 3 semesters a year, so I'm busy. So anyway, makeup tests. If you are through Accessibility Services, let me know. You can even do your makeup testing there or take your test in Accessibility Services. I need to know. Because in order to take your test with Accessibility Services or in the testing center or anywhere else other than home, I need a code that I have to give the proctor to deactivate Respondus. So just let me know so I can give them the code. Now, vacations. Our dean has asked me to tell you that vacation is not a legit reason to miss a test. So here's what we do. Because of this, guys, what we do is we basically say, my tests are online. You can take your test on vacation. I had an honor student last fall, take their general biology final on the beach. He was on vacation. He said he took it on the beach. He was laid back. He had the hot spot. He was laid back on a chair on the beach taking his test, and I could see it. That was fine. I was like, cool with me, good. There's no better place to take a test than on the beach, I guess. Or is it the worst place to have to take a test? But disabilities, please let me know. I keep forgetting. Betty Mask retired. It is Kelly Mitchell. And I keep forgetting to replace that name. Now, a few basic things about quizzes. You get 30 minutes. I do give 30 minutes for the quizzes because I want you to think about my quiz questions. The quiz is, if you have a disability, usually you get 45 minutes for a quiz. They are worth an exam grade. Together, these are all worth 1 exam. So please take them serious. Here's all my quizzes and how many points there are. Some quizzes are 5 points. Some are 10 points. Why? There's 14 quizzes I actually give. I've broken it down. I've combined 2 chapters together for one of my quizzes for genetics, and got it down to 14 quizzes. I might try to go to 15 quizzes, but anyway. Here's my quiz points. My exams, there are 4 50-question exams, They're worth 100 points each. That's 400 points for regular unit tests. The comprehensive final for 100. Lab is 200. That's my 800 points. Now, what is it that honors is doing to make it honors? Well, I'm working with Virginia Tech. We have some researchers at Virginia Tech, and we're assisting them with their research that they're conducting in Sullivan County. It's at a place called Osceola Island. So we will make some trips out there. We'll help them. There's a few things we're going to do. Now, coming this fall, when the salamanders migrate, and salamanders do migrate, when they migrate, we have a study they're conducting on mortality when they cross the road. They get run over. They have to cross the road, and they get run over by cars. They have built these really expensive culverts for the salamanders to cross under the road. If you go out to the, there's a blurb about it outside my office on the upstairs. I have a little thing, why does salamander cross the road kind of deal. And road mortality can wipe a lot of them out. So we're funded by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency and also supported by TVA. So that is that's two places that hire biology students. So if you're a biologist and you're looking at like wildlife biology, these are places that hire, so you would already have an internal thing with them. Secondly, you also will have to tie into Virginia Tech, which is great because they're a big technical university that has a lot of stuff going on. Plus, you'll be part of the paper that we publish. And our goal is if this study works this semester for the marbled salamanders, this semester, we'll have publishable stuff that you can actually go present at a conference, and we'll take you to that conference and present if it all works. Now, last semester, he was teaching a class late at night, Dr. Hammond. He was a former professor of mine. I collaborated with him on research, so I still am. And we're looking at nighttime migration mortality on the road. We'll help analyze the data. We'll help conduct the study. But we also do some things. Here's my goal. I want to go, this is the first thing I'm going to ask about, and I'm looking for about, let's say, September 17th. Saturday, September 17th is when I'm going to shoot for that to be the date that we'll do this. Because I know, so I try to go at least a couple times, once every semester, for us to go out and check the drift fences and prepare them for their studies. They're doing a continual study there as well. So we also help them in maintenance of the research equipment they have going on. So I'm looking at about Saturday, September 17th. How we would do that, we would meet here. We'll caravan out. Now, I might be able to get a van. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get a van from here or not. But usually we meet here and we caravan out. I'll drive my old truck instead of driving I won't bring my Challenger. It might make it hard for you to keep up with me. Because I tend to go a little fast in those things. I'll bring my old truck. And anyway, because I'll have my Challenger by then. I hope. I've driven a few of them. Gosh, they're easy flying, especially with the V8. So. Anyway, I hope to have it. It may not come in. But anyway, what we'll do, we'll go out there. We may have some seminars and conferences and produce some research that we can present. And we'll also try to go. Basically what he wants to do is he wants to pick two of you to help write the paper. And he'll talk to you when we go out for the main thing. So this is a great opportunity. It gets research experience. It gets some help. We're going to be assisting the research efforts in conservation. You'll get field methods. I had to buy some expensive multi-$1,000 equipment. Like I have this reader that reads pit tags. We're going to get another one, and I'm about to get a $15,000 piece of equipment that will help us detect them underground for a new study that we're going to start. So we have a lot of cool stuff going on for honors, but that's our honors project, is we're going to be assisting Virginia Tech in conservation efforts in Sullivan County. So it's the county the school's in. So, it's great. Anyway, that is all I had for those things. I need you guys to sign my syllabus sign-in, and then I'll pass my attendance sheet for today around. So one's the sign-in, one's the syllabus sign-in. And let's get cracking today. I wanted to go over that pretty quick. It took me about half an hour. I apologize that I had to miss for being at... I was on jury duty. Yes, sir.
I have a question about the project.
Yes.
If we're not able to make it on that Saturday, will that affect...
That is fine. Here is the only thing. You're just required to attend something. There will be multiple opportunities. I usually go twice a semester to the field site, but this is that first one to get like that nice early fall. It's nice. We also, usually what I do is not only that, we'll try to go in the winter, and I'll bring some birding equipment because there's some migrating winter birds that come through, and we might get to see a few of those. Bayou 2, I'm still doing the same project. We might get to see some birds there during Bayou 2 during the early part of the semester. We also go at the end of the spring semester when it warms up and do the maintenance. So we at least do one maintenance trip every semester to assist them in fixing the stuff. But you will at least be required to be there for something to get the honors credit. There will be multiple things, and when we get the data set, there's the study. Yes.
So the study group on Friday,
yes.
Biology doesn't take that, right?
I tried it last semester. I was my the A&P thing is so, and I'm like a faculty lead on that project. So it's so demanding. My biology students didn't get what they needed from it.
Okay.
If I can find that it works, I may go ahead and start bringing you guys in.
Okay.
But you definitely could come by to get some help from it.
Okay, because I knew it said something about required if you were an honor student, so I was...
Yeah, that's only now, not for this class.
Just
Yeah,
for-
that's only for anatomy.
Okay.
Anatomy, it's because they're using learning communities.
Okay.
This class is already a learning community because, well, actually, all science classes are learning communities because you were in lecture and lab with the same students.
Okay.
So, so it actually by default is a learning community. All right, let's get started. I have to jump in. I'm a little bit... So, anyway, all my chapters that I do, I always start everything off with a quote. And I have this one because this is our start. And you don't have to be great to start. You just have to start to be great. So this is our start. This is how we be great. We're going to get you guys. Now, here's how I do my things. I have chapter objectives that I require to teach. And I always put those on for you guys to see. Kind of think of this is the checklist of what you have to know coming out. Now, in science, I'm going to preface this. In science, just because I'm not going to test on it, doesn't mean you don't need it. There are plenty of things I can't test on. Okay? Plenty of things I can't test on. Okay? Now, can I test on everything that's important? No. Will I test on important stuff? Yes. That's the goal. That's the weird thing about science. Just because so we can't just say, well, here's what's going to be on the test, know this. I have to be able to make sure you have a broad set of knowledge. So this is kind of my way of making sure you know what you have to know for everything. Now, will everything that you have to know be on test? No. Will a lot of what you need to know be on test? Yes. It's a sample of your knowledge. And these are the things I'm required to teach. So that's just letting you know. Now let's get started. Now, we always start off with that first difficult thing that really, this is Tennessee. Tennessee was well known historically to have the so-called monkey tribe. And in the state of Tennessee, this was a hotbed at first for that evolution thing and education. Now, we will teach evolution and talk about it. Now, I'm going to preface everything. Now, you're adults. I will talk about evolution as a scientific fact, but you will not be penalized for not accepting it. There's never going to be a question that says true or false. Evolution is the only explanation for life on Earth, and if you put the wrong answer, I give you an F. No, I'm never going to punish you for what you accept or reject. If I have a question about evolution and what evolution says, and you don't answer it, you will miss that question. And I just want to make it clear. I'm not going to punish you and say I'm going to fail you and I'm going to make fun of you and I'm going to humiliate you. But we will talk about the science. And I just want to let you know that I am never going to make fun of you. I'm never going to attack your faith if you have it. I always say this, for you're adults. Whether or not you have faith is none of my business. It's your thing. But we are here to talk about this. And evolution is something that even there are religious people who accept evolution happens. And we say evolution, that's what transforms life. And people pretty much agree that life does change. And that's what evolution is basically change over time. When I talk about evolution, I usually say there's a word we'll learn called allele. And evolution is a change of allele frequency over time, to be a little bit more precise. And that's something we'll learn. The allele's a different version of a gene. Kind of like if there was a gene for eye color, the allele would be like cause blue eyes or brown eyes or green eyes or hazel eyes or something. Okay. Now, but it is our central principle. So from life began to today, evolution's been working on it. But that's the central principle of biology. It's integral to understanding biology. But what is biology? Well, biology is a word, like every word has its origins in like Latin and Greek. And in this word, biology, it's the combination of two words, bios and logos. Well, what the heck does bios mean? Bios, like if you read a biography about somebody, that is the story of their life. Logos, you probably think logic. Logic is how we think about and study and analyze and critique.
Thank you.
Basically, if you think about life, you're engaged in biology. Everybody is a biologist at some point in their life. Kids are fantastic biologists. Every year, I host this kids event at Rome Mountain. I take part in this event where we take kids out and we go hunt salamanders. And what we do is we track salamanders down in the mountains. We go find them, and we go hunt them, we identify them, we learn about salamanders. And they will wear you out. They will exhaust you because they're going to come at you, I found one, I found one, I found one, I found one. And they're everywhere. They're just hunting them down like crazy. Kids are like natural little scientists. And they are so excited. And then for some reason we lose this. We get in school and we're like, biology is, and you got this professor, this teacher in school who just sucks the life out of it, and then you're like, I hate biology now. But when you're a kid, it's like amazing because you love critters and love finding things. But life, the study of life, how could it not be? I mean, gosh, isn't that one of the most important things there is? I mean, I don't know how it couldn't be. I mean, life is crazy. And it's so fascinating. But what the heck is it? What is it? Well, I've got a green dry erase marker in my bag here. I got one in my bag too. And I don't know. Can you actually prove to me it's not alive? I'm thinking she's got a little bit. What do you do? I'm going to still. Let me go take two. And so there's a dry erase marker we have here. A Green Expo dry erase marker. Now, I usually have you guys break up into two-person groups, which most of you are at a table. So what I usually have you do is look at the person next to you. Usually you have one, so you two. Most of you guys are at tables of two people. We might need one 3-person group, it looks like. I need one 3-person group. So if you want to get with anybody in a 3-person group, other than that, because of the numbers we have. And just a list of, let's say, 5 reasons you think this isn't alive. And I want to really quickly, let's give you guys, let's say 5 minutes. That's more than enough. I could say 3 minutes, and that would be plenty. Let me say 3 minutes. 5 minutes is probably too much time. So let me put 3 minutes on my timer here. And let you guys figure out why this thing ain't alive. Let's see what you think. I'll give you 3 minutes instead of 5. All right. And your dry erase boards, write them down on your dry erase boards that's hanging at your stations. Write your answers down so I can see them. Sorry about that. You do have your boards. At each table, there's a board hanging there. Use that to write your answers down. If you want to use some of the cards that are stuck out, they're also right, or paper, but I want them on those boards so I can see them. There you go. It's so big. It is hard to prop them up in this. This thing holds them. All right. Let's see. Where did I stick my phone? There it is. A minute. 30 seconds. Now, some of these will be wrong, and that's okay. Some of you have cheated and looked at the next slide. All right. It's hard to define life, isn't it? It's something we don't think about. Why is this thing? If I was really good at planning ahead, I'd bring a bunch of donuts and then have you all have a donut and then prove me why that donut ain't had love. Then you get donuts.
Sorry, my handwriting's bad.
I don't think that far ahead. Prove it to me. All right, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right. So what we did is we come up with a list of about 5 reasons we think this thing may not be alive. Now, I'm willing to bet a few of these. So let's see some of these. Let's see. Does not reproduce. Yeah, there's no way that marker can reproduce. Now, I've never reproduced. I don't have babies. My life? What's the caveat that we would have to put on that?
Reproductive organs.
Reproductive organs, or I have the ability to reproduce. So I have the ability to reproduce. I've just never reproduced. And some of you already think, thank goodness, we couldn't imagine having more of this guy around. Okay. Let's see some other. Doesn't think, doesn't reproduce, doesn't breathe, doesn't eat, drink, energy, doesn't react. Let's see some other. No heartbeat, no cells, no DNA, no brain, no reproductive organs. Does not adapt to environment, doesn't reproduce, doesn't use or make nutrients, doesn't have development, reproduces, then doesn't grow, no cells, made in a factory, can't respond to change independently. So these are all no organs. So would you guys agree that many of these things apply to some of the most complex life, some of them not? So how do we define it for all life? And I wanted to look at a few of those because I always like to see, what do we think about when we think about life? Here is if I wanted to break life down and say, life on Earth has to have these characteristics. Now, order. Is this thing ordered? Is there order to this? Man, that's a pretty ordered structure, isn't it? Nice, cylindrical shape, like somebody designed it, very ordered. Does it do evolutionary adaptation? Now, that's the thing, like, we don't know about that in A&P. But life is what can evolve. Life evolves and adapts. That's something we talk about in biology that A&P won't do, is evolutionary adaptation is something that living things can do. We can respond to the environment. What if I took this marker and poked it? Will it do anything? Will it go, ow? Will it respond at all? No. Can it reproduce? I've never reproduced. I do have the ability. I just never reproduced. Grow and development. Growth and development is something life can do. This thing will never grow. It will always be this size as long as it exists. It won't get bigger. It won't develop. It won't become more anything of what it already is. It was made this way. It will stay this way. It can't process energy. If I got some crackers and stuck it up its little butt thing it has here, it looks like a butt to me. If I stuck that little weird little hole it has in the backside and put some cracker in there, it's not going to eat that cracker and turn it into energy and be able to do things. And it can't regulate. What if I took the lid off this marker and I laid it here and I let it sit here for till Tuesday? It's going to dry out. It'd be dry. It'd be useless. Right now it works. It should work just fine. It's working just fine. But if I let it sit, it'll dry out. It cannot keep itself from drying out. I have to remember to put the lid on it. It can't regulate. These are all things that only life can do. Now, would you agree, order? This thing has order. And we would say order is the nexus between life and non-life. That is the thing that we can say is kind of the connection between living and non-living things. Is living things are ordered, but guess what? That's not the only thing that's ordered. Non-living things are ordered. Rocks have crystalline structures, and that's very ordered. Crystalline structures are quite ordered. A donut, that's quite ordered. I ordered one. You know? All right, so let's think about that. Now, here's some themes that we're going to see. Organization is a theme of biology. There's a lot of organization in biology. Now, some people choose to believe this organization is telltale sign of a designer, and some people would say that it was a result of natural selection. Now, however you think it got here, it's evident that it's there. Okay, that's the fascinating thing. That's the thing we're learning, is it's there. How you believe it got here, that's a whole different story. Now, I always say if we want to debate that humanity's believes that way. Now, information, that's another thing. We know DNA, things like that. Energy and matter, interactions and evolution. Evolution is an essential theme to biology, and it does get talked about. Now, here's the deal about education. You will be exposed to ideas that you don't always agree with. That is important in education. That we always see things I don't agree with, and it's going to make me go, I don't know, man. I mean, there are plenty of things because I'm going to tell you, when I was in your shoes, I grew up, my mom's Baptist. Now, my dad used to say that he was a GD pagan. He meant gosh darn pagan. And he said, I'm a GD pagan. My mom was Baptist. I was confused. And thing is, I grew up, I believed, it's like, evolution, that can't happen. And my education changed that for me. And it was something that was a result of my education, is I changed my idea. So we're going to look at, first off, organization. And in that, we're going to see things like the hierarchy of life, look about emergent properties, and how cells are basic in your life. That's what we're getting ready to talk about. So don't worry about writing this down. The part that's coming up is what you're going to want to write down and take notes about. But this is me guiding you. This is what we're going to talk about. This is what I'm about to serve up. Okay? So I was going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Now, this is something that can be very hard this is something you have to memorize. It does take time to get this down. Now, in A&P, we're really nice because A&P only cares about peoples, and we stop at the organism and we say we don't go any further. We go to organism, we stop, we say we're done. But here, we get to the organism, we got to keep on trucking. Because biology, we're concerned about way more than just one organism. We're concerned about all life on planet Earth. We got to go to all life on Earth. Woo, doggies. So this is bigger. If you had A&P and you learned this in A&P with me, or other professors, we're going further on that. Now, I like to think about this like those Russian nested dolls. You ever seen those? Where you got that tiny little doll, and you put it in a slightly bigger doll, and then you put that into a slightly bigger doll, and next thing you know, you got this big doll, and it's just dolls all the way down, and then you open it up, and it's a little doll, You've seen those Russian nested dolls. This is how this works. Okay? Now we're going to start with something very tiny here. The tiniest little thing that we are going to talk about. And that's called subatomic particles. I've decided that I'm going to start pronouncing words like this like I'm teaching Greek mythology. I'm going to start calling it particles. I'm going to start pronouncing it like it's molecules, particles. But I've never been that very strong. Greek mythology, that's really my Achilles horse. That's a good one. That's obviously because it's Achilles' heel, Leopard. I know. It's just one of my smart jokes. All right, so our subatomic particles, they come together. Now they're subatomic. That means they're smaller than atoms. So what we got to do? What's next? Atoms. So subatomic particles can make atoms. Now this is what's cool about this, guys. Okay? What is so cool is subatomic particles, which have their own properties, come together to make atoms with completely different properties. Now that's mind-boggling. You take parts and put them together, and now they have unique properties. It's like the parts of an engine in your car. By themselves, they have their own unique properties, but they don't do much. Put them together, and the car can go. And that's so cool. You get new things because you put it together in the right way. Okay? So atoms, they can come together and they can make the molecules. I'm tired of changing the markers. I'm already kind of like, I wish I didn't do that. Molecules are chemicals. But here's the weird thing about these chemicals. For example, if I were to say, like, you had A&P or something, you guys learned about fats. And we know that fats are made up of, like, a glycerol and some fatty acids. Some of these fats are made of glycerols and fatty acids. That's more than one molecule. A glycerol on its own is a molecule. A fatty acid on its own is a molecule. Put them together, and we got a molecule made up of molecules. That's called a macromolecule. That's a big old molecule. They're called macromolecules. Macromolecules are big molecules that are made up of more than one molecule. Then we can take macromolecules and arrange them in a way, and we can make the organelles of the cell. If you've already had any biology, you know that organelles are things like mitochondria and nucleuses and Golgis and endoplasmic reticula and things like that. These are all organelles in a cell. They're composed of large molecules that are made up of even smaller molecules, that are made up of atoms, that are made up of subatomic particles. A Russian nested doll idea. Okay? Now these organelles, they can go on and they can make cells. Now, can anybody tell me what is so cool about cells? What is the really interesting thing about cells versus everything else? What happens at the cell that isn't there everywhere else? Huh? Basic unit of life. This is where life starts. Life is now recognized here. We now have the signs of life. We now can see this is the most basic fundamental unit of life. Remember those things we said that life can do, like evolutionary adaptation, energy processing, order, all those things that we said that living things can do, even though a simple living thing like a bacteria will do those things? The cell is the thing that can do it. That's the first thing that we would say is alive. We recognize the signs of life in the cell. Now, cells, they come together and they make tissues. Every A&P student just loves learning tissues. It all looks like just a bunch of pink blobs. It's like, they hate it. I try to do the best I can, but tissues. And tissues, well, they can come together and they can make organs. And the organs, they can come together and make organ systems. And these organ systems can come together and make an organism. Now, here's what I'm doing. This is for the most complex life. Would you agree with me that there is single-celled organisms out there? Bacteria, protists, single-celled organisms. So this is referencing the most complex things. I have to try to include the most complex life on Earth, like us and other things. Now, where do we go next? Organ systems. Well, we've got us. We now have a complex multicellular organism who can, this is the most complex level of basic human anatomy and physiology. This is where we end in A&P. We don't go any further because we only care about one organism, one species, and that's people. That we don't go any further. But here in biology, we know that there's a whole bunch of people on planet Earth. Billions of people on planet Earth. Sometimes if you go to Walmart, there's too many people. It's like I always said there, it's like I usually think myself as I like people, then I go to Walmart or drive through the fair traffic, and I'm like, there's too many people. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. I hate Fair Week because I live near the fairgrounds. I have to drive through that traffic. I was like, no, I'm just trying to get a pizza. I'm not trying to park in your spot. I'm trying to buy a pizza. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
Why I was late today.
Oh. So I always kind of was like, man, sometimes because there's kids in my neighborhood that are starting to get old enough to be going to go to college. I'm like, my neighbor's going to be my student soon. All right, the organism. What do we have? We have population. Population of people. There's way too many people. All right, now population. Now, there in my neighborhood, there's dogs and there's cats and there's people and other pets and other things. And there's the rabbit that comes. There's the rabbits that like to hang out in my yard, and there's all that good stuff. So what I recognize is I live in a community. Okay, this community is all the interacting population. Population of rabbits, population of dogs. The rabbits come to my yard, the neighbors always bark at them. The cat goes and I want that across the street. And all right, communities come together to make the ecosystems. And then at the very end we have the biosphere. That is all life on Earth. Now what this is like, guys, is those Russian nested dolls where each level, when I have a level like cells are made up of organelles, macromolecules, molecules, atoms, and subatomic particles. And they're just like those Russian nested dolls where with the big levels, the biosphere contains all of it. Everything. Now, let me tell you, right here, this is like physics. And this is like chemistry. And then we go into biology. What is it that makes biology sometimes one of the toughest classes people take sometimes? Now, I personally think physics, chemistry is far harder than biology. It was for me. The reason I became a biology major is I thought it required less math. Because I hated math in school. And then I found out I had to have calculus. Yeah. So that was fun. And, yeah. And but I made it, and I did it, and I got through it. I got my degree. I always like to say, heck, I graduated my biology degree with honors. I always say, not bad for a dumb little boy from Possum Trot. Because my first grade teacher, they call them parent-teacher conference. And my parents were called in. They said, your son is such a bad student. And my first grade teacher, her words were to my parents. She says, I think your son might be retarded. That was her words. And I remember my dad stood up and called her a chain-smoking B-word and threatened to, he said, I'm not above hitting a woman. Threatened to hit her. Went off on her. He went all Al Pacino on her. Okay, so some atomic particles, they are protons, neutrons, and electrons. They come together to make atoms. Atoms are the smallest unit of matter. Because never trust an atom, they make up everything. And these atoms come to make chemicals, molecules, chemical compounds, things like that. They are just a bunch of atoms bonded together. So when you hear idiots out there saying, don't eat chemicals, don't eat chemicals, well, what are you going to eat? The chemicals is two or more atoms bonded together. Just because something's a chemical doesn't mean it's dangerous. Glucose is a chemical, but we need it to make energy for our body. Now, too much glucose can give you diabetes. But everything has got to be where it needs to be. But chemicals, now there are some chemicals that will kill you very easy. It doesn't take much of it to kill you. Get enough of anything, it'll kill you. That's the rule. Now, these chemicals can come together to make what's called larger chemicals called macromolecules. The macromolecules come together to make the organelles. The organelles come together to make the cells. Cells are the simplest unit of life. And this unit of life that is alive is just a bunch of organelles working together. But somehow, those organelles, it's just like when you take each part of the engine, has a job to do, but when you put them together in the right way, the engine will go vroom, vroom, and start up and take your car down the road. Okay? But you have to have the right parts in the right order, put together in the right way, so they all work. And that's the same with the cell. But for some reason, when you really try to say, well, why? We don't know. What's that spark of life? We try to make artificial life. And we can do it by putting things together from pre-existing things. But how did the first life ever get here? Was it spoken into creation, or did it happen naturally? That first life here, gosh, that's mind-boggling to think about. Is just, that first life, how it got here. It blows my mind. Now, so we're talking about that, and then these cells come to make tissues. These tissues are just a bunch of cells working together. And then I take a bunch of cell tissues, put them together, and I can make an organ in my body. Just a bunch of tissues working together. And I take a bunch of organs that go together. Now, for example, I like to think of an organ system as like this, like my outfit. I've got pants, socks, shoes, my bow tie, my shirt, my t-shirt, my belt. All this goes together. It all should coordinate. I chose to represent Gryffindor today, apparently. And I do that so I like to rock the bow tie every now and again and just bringing it back. Now, the deal is, guys, that all these things hopefully go together. And I have other outfits, like I have other organ systems. And each organ system is made up of organs that all work together, just like my outfit works together. The organs of the organ system work together, and I have different ones. I have more than one outfit. Now, the idea is, guys, these organ systems come together to make a complex organism like me, and blue whales, and cats, and fish, and things like that. Now, will it be that way for a bacterium? No, they're single-cell organisms. They're done. They're like, man, they get to cell and they're done. They don't do anymore. So this is only true for the most complicated things on planet Earth. That's why I'm including it. Okay, so we understand the more complexities. Now, these organ systems come in an organism. The organism, if I got a bunch of organisms of the same species, we call this a population. There's a population of fish. There's a population of dogs and cats. I was in a place once called Dogtown. And Dogtown, the sign says population of dogs outnumbers the population of people, so it's called Dogtown. And so there's more dogs than people, so there you go, it's Dogtown. And that population can have communities because there's cats and dogs and fish and gerbils and hamsters. And one of my neighbors has a pet pig. So, they still do. I doubt they dressed it out or something. My dad would be like, boy, 7 days, I'd raise it up and be a good show and dress it out. He's going to eat it. There's like a pig, there's a bat, you eat those. The communities, being all the communities come together, that's called an ecosystem. Guys, you have an ecosystem in your belly button. There's a bunch of community, all the fungi and the bacteria and everything, the different species that are living in your belly button right now. Your belly button is an ecosystem with communities all working together right now. And every time you watch that belly button, you're committing mass murder, but you don't think about that, do you? And then our biosphere. That's all these different things. Okay? That's all the ecosystems on planet Earth. And those are varied and wild and interesting and cool. And there's so much going on with life on Earth that it's weird. Life is weird. And that's cool. I love it. Because, we have to learn all the things that life does. But, guys, this is just that nested doll idea where we're just, one thing contains the other. The bigger things contain the smaller things. And whenever we go bigger, 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 we're containing the smaller, smaller, smaller on it. Does that make sense? Okay. So the cool idea about this is, remember my idea that I said that the parts of my car, if I look under the hood of a car, and I look in there, and there's an alternator and a battery, and there's the manifold, there's the engine block, there's the pistons, there's all these parts in here. They each have a job to do. Until I put them together, that engine can't run. Until they're put together right. Well, that ability for every part to have a job to do, put them together, now you have an engine that runs, that's an emergent property. Emergent properties is incredibly fascinating. When you think about it, if I take sodium, elemental sodium, it's a metal that literally catches on fire in water and will explode. And chlorine is a gas that you breathe in will kill you. Put them together and you get table salt. Now, table salt is not a metal and it's not a gas. It's a crystal. Completely different than the things that make it up. It is different than the sum of its parts. That's an emergent property. Emergent properties are, hey, when I put two smaller things together, the resulting interactions that come out of that give it completely new properties that weren't there in the smaller things. Okay? Just how my car engine will work and run if I put each part of the engine together and it's there the right way and hooked up. Has a serpentine belt, timing, everything is set, everything's good. They're currently building my car. So hopefully when I get it, it runs. It better run well. Paid enough money for it. Now, that's emergent properties. And they result because complexity is increasing. Same thing happens when, let's say a computer programmer is writing a program. And as he gets more complicated with his code that he writes, weird things start to happen called bugs. Did he intend on those bugs to be there? No, they don't want those bugs to be there. Bethesda doesn't intend on game-breaking things that destroy your save files to happen in all their games. But it's a Bethesda game, and it's going to have bugs. And all of a sudden, you're going to punch a raider, and they're going to fly off the map, and then you're going to fall through the floor. And you're like, whoa! My progress. They don't intend on that. That wasn't on purpose. But why is because that game is so dang complex that all the interactions create unintended consequences, the bugs in a game. That's emergent properties. They result because of interactions and lines of code. So I could take hydrogen, which is a gas, oxygen, that's a gas, 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen makes water. That's mostly a liquid. 2 gases make a liquid? That's weird. But guys, that's exactly what emergent property is. You're more than the sum of your parts. You all are more than the sum of your parts because of emergent properties. Guys, intelligence is an emergent property of neural connections in the brain. So is anxiety, depression, and mental health disorders. They are all the results of interactions. Okay? And if we can understand some of these things, we could go in trying to manipulate stuff. Okay? Pretty cool. Now, another big thing. This is something I always tell my A and P students. You're never going to get away from this idea that form fits function because it's there all the time. If I look at a muscle in the body, if I look at the biceps brachii and I look at how it attaches to my skeleton, I can look at that and predict what that muscle will do to my body because of how it's attached and how the muscle is built. And what I notice is form fits function. I wouldn't want to eat peas with a hammer. I wouldn't want to drive a nail with a fork. Because something my daddy always taught me was there's the right tool for the right job, and that's what you use. You better never let him catch you using a butter knife to drive a screw into a board. No, that's not the right tool for the right job. You get a screwdriver for that. He was obsessed with it. Form fits function. In biology, structure and function are uniquely tied together. Just how I can look at a tool and tell what that tool's job would be used for. I can kind of look at it and say, oh, this would be good for doing this with it. Body parts, organelles, stuff like that, even chemicals. Their structure determines what they do. The structure of a hormone determines what that hormone ultimately can do. It's all about that structure. It's all about that molecular shape of things. Form fits function. And that is an incredibly important and fundamental law here. Now, covalence. So a leaf on a plant is very thin to maximize light absorption, but thin and flat so it can do photosynthesis really well. The mitochondria is highly folded so it can increase surface area for the chemistry that happens in the mitochondria. The bones are lattice work inside so they can be light and strong at the same time. Birds' wings to fly, neurons to send signals, and all of these things are everything you see about this is their shape, their structure, how they're built is all referencing what they can do. And we see this all the time in biology. It is an overarching theme that never gets away from it. Form fits function. Now, very big thing, and this is guaranteed to be on the test. I will not let somebody out of biology class of mine and not know these two words. Microbiology, you'll see it. You'll see it in micro. You'll see it in general biology 1. These are very important terms to know. Let me tell you something. In a general biology class, in your first semesters, when you take a class like this, you learn more new words than you do vocabulary words in a foreign language. I will tell you, there is more. I looked at it. I went back and got my Spanish book. And there was less vocabulario in there than there is in this thing. I know I didn't say it right. I'm hardly right. My vocabulary. I took French too. I took French, help me get with it. Now, eukaryotic cells, these are U. What does U mean? U is the word, that prefix that we could say means true. Now, what is carry-on? Carry on my wayward son. Carry-on means nucleus. It actually it means kernel. So this word means true kernel, true nucleus. When it says eukaryotic, it means it has a nucleus. Right here it is. There's that nucleus in all its glory, big and bold, very present. Right there it is. It has a membrane belt organelles, and the largest of which is a nucleus. Only cells with nucleus is called eukaryotic. Prokaryotic, pro means before. Now, it's about the time the new iPhone comes out, isn't it? Isn't this the month the new iPhones come out? Now let's say you want to get the latest, greatest iPhone, and you come to Verizon or wherever, and you're like, I want the new iPhone. They said, sorry, it comes out tomorrow. Are you going to be leaving with the new iPhone that day? No, they come out tomorrow. You're a day early. Since you got there before the new iPhone, you don't get the new iPhone. If you evolved before a nucleus was around, you don't get a nucleus. So these cells are without a prokaryotic. Before the nucleus, they don't get a nucleus. They don't have a nucleus. The nucleus is not there. So they're usually very small. Look at this really big eukaryotic cell. And look at this tiny prokaryotic cell here. So little, much more simplistic. These are like my bacteria and things like that. This is what we learned about in microbiology. And one of those things in microbiology, they always said, you better know the difference in eukaryotic and prokaryotic. And I would definitely test on those terms. Now, I do some definition questions. And I do a lot of concept questions. But your bacteria and your archaea are prokaryotic. Bacteria is the one you probably know the most about, because you probably heard at least a little bit about bacteria, E. coli, staph, things like that. I love bacteria because sometimes it's the only culture some people have. Is bacteria. But now plants, animals, and fungi, that's my eukaryotes. And they have nucleuses. And that makes them really really kind of complicated. And that's that new kind of cell that came around. And we'll talk a little bit about how they may have gotten here later on in one of my chapters. Now, let's get into information. And that's what we talk about DNA. DNA is the big one. That's the thing. Now, information. This is really interesting because DNA as a molecule basically acts as information storage. It is essentially molecular code, just like you would find in a computer. Now, we have a lot of discussions. I have a lot of discussions with people about this. This is a really big one people like to talk about. And it will be frequently said to me that information never comes about except through intelligence. Well, we can see communication and linguistic properties can evolve through coevolution. The coevolution of genetic material, of simplistic genetic material, and the molecular machinery that was already existing. And I've read papers on this that tells us how this can happen. And there are definitely papers that discuss how things like genetic information could have evolved. And it's very fascinating stuff. But how it could have evolved, or like I said, maybe God did it. That's really up to you to decide. But DNA, that's our information. It's molecular information. Instead of having a line of code written by a programmer, this is written in molecules, long molecules. And the study of this is called genomics. Genomics is the study of our genome. We study the whole cell genomes now of individuals. Now, the first time we actually did this, it took years. It took a very long time to analyze the genome of humans. Now, we can do it in a matter of an hour, or even less now. Genomics, we've gotten it down. We know what we're paying. We can be quick about it. We can find a new species and have its genome sequenced in no time. But when we first started doing genomes, it took us forever to do it. That was a monumental task, was the Human Genome Project. And now we can we can sequence an entire genome. Now, one of the telltale signs about life is reproduction. How can we reproduce if we don't have the instructions to make babies? So we have to basically, what we do is we shoot DNA at each other. It's basically how babies are made, if you didn't know that. We just shoot DNA at each other. It's like, okay, here's my DNA, here's your DNA, let's mix it together and see what we get. And this, all cells on planet Earth, we have never seen a cell that doesn't use DNA. All cells use DNA. Viruses use RNA sometimes, but all cells use DNA. And that's a fundamentally interesting thing in itself, is all cells use DNA as their molecular language. And we get it from our parents. We do. We got it from our parents. Your parents, your mom had DNA, your dad had DNA. And they have chromosomes. They have 23 pairs, 46 chromosomes that they have, that they gave. Your mama gave you 23, your daddy gave you 23, you've got 46. These chromosomes combine beautifully to make you. And here you are with this bit of hundreds of thousands of genes that are all telling us to make us the way we are. Now, these genes are encoded information. Kind of like the files on our computer. Each of it has information. There's some information that we have stored. We store it in DNA in the form of a gene. Each gene is like a file. Okay? I probably need to keep it on the time here. Okay, good. It is time, isn't it? It is time. Sorry, it's 10:20. Sorry. I was like, oh yeah, it's 10:20. I didn't. I looked there. It said it is time. So we'll pick up here. What we'll do is, it takes me about 3 lectures to get this chapter done. We actually are roughly, kind of where I probably would be normally. So sorry that I had to miss the first day. It puts us a little bit behind, so I'll play catch up. Guys, thank you. I'll see you in lab at 10:30 for those that have me. Oh. Shoot, it's hard to keep up with time sometimes. I was getting into it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh. Freaky. Yeah. I may upload here. I wanted to record. It was.